Greetings, PerfBytes listeners. It's your old friend Satan here again, and I'm proud to introduce the News of the Damned.
Hey, there he is. You can hear him in your mind, laughing, being tortured. The poor guy is always being tortured. It's time for News of the Damned. James, here we are. Summer. It was about this time last year we had come out of, I think it was San Diego. Is May, right?
Yeah.
And I think we had the first full episode dedicated to News of the Damned sometime in the spring. I'll have to go back. Remember that? It was in the summer. It was later in the summer.
Yeah, it was later in the summer, but it was a nice refreshing kind of aperitif type of thing,
Yes.
A nice break, just a full News of the Damned for the summer. Yeah.
Yes, and it was before healthcare.gov happened, which still dominates everything.
Mark.
Not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah,
Still
we can't talk about that. Yeah.
The website formerly known as healthcare.gov. Yeah, exactly. All right, so what do you got for us this week? Interestingly enough.
Well, Mark, we've got a really interesting collection from all over the planet.
Yes.
And, of course, we have to start with our favorite country for meltdowns.
The United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom.
United Kingdom. Who knew a little island hanging off the coast would be that incompetent when yes. We should have a talk with Richard Bishop.
Well, actually, Mark, this one comes from Mahesh, who works with Richard.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a problem involving football.
Oh, really?
Or as we call it here, soccer. But, we're barbarians. We don't know any different.
I know.
So it involved a pay-per-view broadcast on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
And, of course, it dealt with this crazy thing called football and Manchester and Liverpool and all of these soccer events and stuff like that. And people were wanting to watch these events live on demand, and you had thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who didn't want to be accosted by the soccer hooligans and couldn't get tickets, but their favorite teams were playing and they wanted to watch, so they go online, they sign up, and they get there, and they start the streaming, and then all of a sudden it starts coming down, and what do you think happens? Exactly. I believe the actual error message was, "Oops, something went wrong. Please come back later."
Rebuffering.
Rebuffering. I think there's a lesson to be learned here. Oddly enough, from the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Because they streamed a little movie about the angel chicas, right? They were dressed scantily clad models, right? They had a video that they were streaming as well.
Well, in their very first foray into this online video type of thing,
yes,
they used a unicast model for video streaming. So every single person had to be addressed directly, and every session maintained and things of that nature.
Right.
And their servers melted down. And the following year, they moved to a multicast model, which is much more like a television-style broadcast for a live event. And they were able to scale to a much higher degree. Now, I don't know for certain whether the Sky Sports channels are unicast or multicast, but you know what? It's a good place to start to look.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing about streaming, a lot of folks just assume it's not very popular in some of the tools, but I remember doing load runner support for both the Real Player back in the day and obviously Windows Media Player. And that was 15 plus years ago. And some people, especially newcomers to using the advanced tools for load testing, they might not even know that the tools support these streaming protocols out of the box. And I think they've been updated pretty much. For the most part, you may not have a recording solution, but you have a way to open the API and pull down the stream. You could do it with sockets as well. You do with a very basic sockets open and receive, and it would just receive infinitely on that stream. But, I mean, it's the starting and the stopping of the stream and doing all sorts of different stuff. A lot of people assume there's no way to test it, but a lot of the tools have a way to support this. But what's wrong with these guys? Pay-per-view? We haven't had pay-per-view as a big name. And Sky, if this source is Sky, Sky is also a huge name. I think they're a Performance Center customer, but they maybe only do the website. The guys might say, oh, well, we don't test the streams. I don't know.
Now, Mark, here is this is a nice breakover between a lot of the commercial tools and the open source tools. The open source tools concentrate pretty heavily on web and web-based technologies,
right,
or Java in this case, or in some cases. But very rarely do they cover these infrastructure-type solutions,
right,
such as streaming media. This is very commonly a differentiator between open source tools and the commercial tools, where the open source tools have had a very heavy concentration on web and web-based technologies, sometimes, Java integration, but rarely are they integrated with these types of infrastructure protocols that you see for streaming media, as an example. And so when you're looking at tools, if you need to test streaming media, this may be something that pushes you to one tool set or another.
Yeah, it could take you to either an existing commercial tool that does, because they're difficult to support to some extent because they can be more complex, and especially as the technology for streaming involves lots of interesting compression routines, different scanning type technologies, and when it comes to encoding or encrypting something, that's very different as well. So it's a more advanced type of protocol to have to handle, therefore that's why they cost a little bit more. At the same time, you might there's a lot of homegrown tools. I mean, I remember at Microsoft, before they didn't have a lot of commercial tools running around, so they used to build all the stuff themselves, the Windows media players, open up the APIs and talk to the library natively. Exactly. But again, a lot of folks I know, if they do web page testing, they record that web page, and then, of course, they think erroneously they run back a HTTP level virtual user. It doesn't actually open the stream. And they were too dumb to know. They just replay the web user, and it doesn't actually open the stream at all. In fact, and you don't get an error out of the script. It's like it wasn't ever even recorded. So put your eyes on there, you guys. If you don't, like as you say, James, if you don't understand your architectural significance and your guidance and the book, what's the infrastructure book, the architectural book that you always recommend?
It's Andrew Tannenbaum.
Andrew Tannenbaum. Tannenbaum's Modern Operating Systems. Although it maybe didn't cover streaming and web.
No, it did not. He does have like the modern network operating systems too. They're probably.
So that would cover multicast unit. Yeah. So you know what? If you're in LoadRunner True Client, you're probably going to be running those streams. But if you're in a HTTP transport level virtual user, you're not running the stream, buddy. And get hip to that. You got to know you're not actually testing the stream.
So Mark, let's go on to candidate number 2.
Number 2 on today's top 4.
Number 2 is Frontier Airlines, Mark. Today, Frontier Airlines started service from the Washington, D.C. metro area to a number of other metropolitan areas, including Philadelphia and Charlotte, North Carolina, I might add. And they kicked off this new service by beginning to charge fares at $15 a seat.
Oh, my God. That doesn't even pay for gas. I mean, that probably doesn't even pay for the peanuts that they give you.
I actually went up there myself to see if I could get some great round trips on certain dates. Of course, all the really good dates are already taken. But, at that price, you could fly into D.C. for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. And still tip well to the staff, the wait staff. Yes, exactly. So, again, do any evidence that this was obviously, I mean, I could see, an actual intentional promotion, but not at $15 for an airline. That's insane.
Well, we've had examples of this. We had an example in India that was charging one Indian rupee for a seat, and that was actually a couple of weeks ago at STPCon. That website melted down. So there's really no excuse here for Frontier. They have an actual example within their own industry of a site going down for exceptionally low fares. They knew when they were going to begin service. They knew what this promotion looked like. They could have taken steps to ensure the integrity of their website. They could have done the stepped performance tests to understand where they hit a capacity limit long before they actually rolled out this service, and they could have avoided this. Now, when you're charging a $15 fare, your customer who you can't service is likely not going to go to another airline. They're going to go to a bus provider. They're going to go to Greyhound or something like that.
They're going to walk.
They're going to walk. They're going to get on their bicycle and pedal their butt from Charlotte, North Carolina, all the way to Washington, D.C.
I just thought of something else. Our friends Ron Foster and Rolf Loos. I wonder if some of this could be hacking, because you could security-wise, SQL injection, do an update on a price and blast that out. Next thing you know, everyone gets some cheap airfare.
That's possible, except that this was actually put out in a press release.
So it's been detailed as such. Well, they may do that on purpose to throw people off that they actually got hacked, and that's where we need to start up a whole other thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Looking at the fares, most of them are on Wednesdays. If you're curious, Wednesday is the $15 fare day.
The $15 fare day. There you go. It's very funny.
And, of course, next up, we're kind of going back to the UK because we're involving one of its citizens in a News of the Damned. Mark, are you familiar with the British comedian Ricky Gervais?
Ricky Gervais, yes, exactly. He's very funny. He was in The Office. He's a very funny comedian guy. He also hosted, I think, the Oscars or Grammys or something. I think the Oscars.
Yeah. It was one of the award shows and stuff.
Very funny guy.
I see him occasionally. I'm not a big fan, but I have this thing, I guess, with British comedians. They just don't.
Well, and of course he's a heavy set guy.
That doesn't bother me.
No, I don't think fat people are funny, and so.
Okay.
It's crude to laugh at them because they'll be very sensitive. They wouldn't know whether you're laughing at them or laughing with them.
Oh, I recognize that you're just laughing at me, Mark. So I'm not offended.
No, but you have girth and height. I mean, Ricky Gervais I think he's a rather short fellow, a little I think he's quite portly.
So you're suggesting he's a weeble?
Yeah, a little bit like a weeble. I've never seen him fall over. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Never seen him. Maybe topples around a bit. Never seen him fall over.
Well, he's extended his capability of falling over not to himself then, but to a website.
Yes, this is unfortunate.
So Ricky Gervais was trying to kind of mock Ellen DeGeneres at I guess the Oscars, and he was tweeting out cute pictures of dogs with himself for a particular charity. And for some reason, the cute dog pictures caused the website for All Dogs Matter to go down.
Viral dogs.
Yeah, it went viral. Everyone wanted to see the dog pictures.
I use the word viral, but I think the dogs had been vaccinated. There's not.
Yes.
There wasn't a concern of an actual spread of an actual virus, even though Mr. Gervais, we're not sure if he's had maybe, I suppose, a tetanus shot. No confirmation.
True, very true. And of course, you always wonder of the two dogs in the picture at that point,
right?
Which one is so ugly that he's cute of the two? So
yes, well, he might be portly, fat, and he might have tetanus, but I don't find Mr. Gervais unattractive in that sense. I think he's attractive to some men or women out there. I think, and humor is a very attractive thing as well. So I think he compensates with the humor.
I'm just feeding you rope, Mark. Just keep going. Yeah,
that's fine. And we're going to put him on the hashtag to say we're going to shout him out on the PerfBytes Twitter that we were picking on Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Because I've seen him in the idiot abroad thing. He's always picking on that guy. He's mean. He just gets mean. It's bad.
So I must say, we've had a number of these charity events that have shown up on News of the Damned where the charity drive has been so successful that it takes out the charity website for a period of time, and they lose an opportunity to collect funds. And I got to say, Mark, I've had pets over the years. I've had dogs. I've had cats. This particular charity, All Dogs Matter, they rescue dogs and they make them available for adoption. So if you are interested in donating to a dog charity or a pet charity, All Dogs Matter. Look them up. Look up All Dogs Matter along with Ricky Gervais. You'll see the pictures. Click the picture. Go crash the website when it comes back up. Give them a little money.
Give them a little money, or just figure out what the postal address is and send them a donation, because it's good. It's one of the better dog charities. SPCA is also a marvelous charity, of course, Humane Society.
And just for a sense of scale about what a celebrity endorsement does in this case, it took them from 450 unique visitors a day up to around 24,000 people when the site went down.
That's unbelievable. So that's actually commendable. They did really well, but wow, overwhelming, totally overwhelming.
They totally got to 5X, but at some point it's just got to give up.
Yeah, and like we say about most of these charities sites as well, these are customers who probably will give you the benefit of the doubt. They will come back to your site because they care to begin with, and if your site is unavailable, eventually they hopefully will come back out of the goodness of their heart. So very sad. Thanks, Ricky, for being as adorably ugly and dog-like as you are, for crashing their website. That's good on you.
And Mark, the final candidate, this is our number one hit for this week.
The number one News of the Damned hit, yes.
Number one News of the Damned hit comes from the music industry, Mark, from a company called TuneTrack.
Oh, yes, I know TuneTrack.
Yeah, they had a new software release of Easy Drummer 2, and the TuneTrack website was taken out by demand for this new package.
Straight up demand. And I know on their site all of their product licensing, product registration, product downloads. I'd be curious to figure out what part of the site went down, as to what it was. Was it new registration? My guess is it was conversions, upgrade type of stuff. Some API traffic that would upgrade you to Easy Drummer 2. Could be downloads as well because it's all e-delivery software. But TuneTrack, I have to say, TuneTrack, terrible name, horrible name. It sounds like cartoonish software, and I think probably to a real recording engineer that knows what they're doing with drummers or whatever, it might seem a little bit amateurish. But it's actually really sophisticated, awesome software. So don't let the name fool you. But wow, they had again tremendous demand for Easy Drummer 2.
Well, Mark, I have to say, these are Swedes who put this out. It's TuneTrack. They're out of Sweden. And so tune may have a very different context in Swedish. It might actually mean music as opposed to cartoon in its spelling. Yeah,
that's true. It could also be porn. You never know.
We need the Swedish chef here to translate.
Thanks to the Swedish chef. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. This particular story, by the way, comes to us by way of Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott Moore, a contributor. Oh,
of Northway.
Speaking of which, you'll notice that all these different folks. Richard Bishop. I just posted the VIP page on PerfBytes.com.
I was wondering if that's the VIP page or the Rogues Gallery.
Sort of the Rogues Gallery, or as Tim Koopman sent to me, very impressive pancakes VIP.
I like that.
Fantastic. Yes, the very important pancakes page. Very impressive pancakes page. So thanks, Richard Bishop, or Mahesh, actually sending in the streaming video problem, and then thanks Scott Moore for sending in the TuneTrack Easy Drummer. Very cool.
and so that's our stories for this week, Mark.
Stories of the day. Thanks. So James, again, I think we're not really doing enough to reach these people, to help them. So, we talked about starting maybe a book. Maybe we could do a book on News of the Damned. Just go pick those stories and do the extra work. Top 10. Maybe Casey Kasem top 10 news of the damned.
You know, Mark, this is a great question for the audience. I think we need to survey the audience. Say, audience, would you like a news of the damned book? And I think we should call it That Damned Book.
PerfBytes damned book. Ah, yes, that'll be very good. And of course, at some point, Vincent Price is going to start laughing, and then it's going to. That's the end of it.
I wonder if we can license the laugh so when they open up the cover, it'll laugh.
They have that on gift cards. They have a little thing, light sensor. You open up the gift card and it plays Vincent Price laughing. We could put the intro to the News of the Damned inside the cover. I think it wouldn't work on the Kindle edition, but it might work.
Thank you, everyone.
That's News of the Damned.
Have a not damned week.